You're listening to the Career Plus Life Catch-Up, episode number 94. Welcome to the Career Plus Life Catch-Up, a show anchored in reality to help you create a balanced life where you enjoy both your work and your life, because you don't have to choose. I'm your host, Cecile Ferry, a corporate executive turned coach and working mom. This is your place for insights, advice, and tools to optimize your career direction, balance, and confidence. I'm so glad you're here. Let's get into it. Hello, my beautiful friends. I hope you're well as we are approaching, if you're listening to this reasonably live, the middle point of the year. So if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, you are in the heart of winter. And we're absolutely feeling it in Melbourne, but I'm quite enjoying really nesting at home and trying to stay warm and comfortable. And I enjoy that kind of time where it's about reflecting, it's about introspection, but maybe you're in the Northern Hemisphere and you're finally enjoying getting out and about and the sunshine and everything, is just looking more exciting for you. And if that's you, well, really go and enjoy. So today I thought it would be a good time to take this episode to look at where we're at this year, because we are at the halfway mark. And you know me, I'm a sucker for reflection and for looking back and for taking stock and getting insights and learning lessons. So I couldn't resist doing an episode on that today. So I'm going to be sharing with you some questions that you can use. So maybe worth for you just to pause and get a notepad, something to write some notes on, and then you can go back to those questions in your own time. So I give you a bit of a framework to take stock first on the last 6 months and then to reflect, to really take time to ask yourself the right questions in order to know what to do going forward. And I will also share my 6 main lessons in the last 6 months that I've personally experienced. I've had probably about 15 to 30, but I handpicked the 6th one that I want to share with you and that I hope will resonate with you and possibly help you in your own career or life. So that's what I have for you today. I will say, so as I'm recording this, we're towards the end of June and I'm looking ahead that July will be my next big coaching month. I just wanted to give you a heads up if you're listening, if you're an existing client or if you're thinking about working with me, now will be a really good time to join or to book your sessions, because I have time over the next, let's say, 6 weeks, but then I will be taking most of the month of August off as I'm going overseas with my daughter to see my family and friends. And then I will reopen in September. So if you're thinking about coaching with me, even just getting on a discovery call to talk about your options, to talk about your situation and see if it's a good fit for you, now is a really, really good time. So I'll put always the link in the show notes. But I will repeat here, the website is careercatchup.com. You can go and sign up for a free discovery call with me. Or if you've got an existing client, you want some sessions, now is a really good time. So just before we go into the 6-month review of the year, I also want to remind you that I did an episode number 88, which was the 3-month mark. If you enjoyed today's episode, maybe go back and listen to that one as well, because they won't overlap and I won't repeat myself. But maybe you were not with me at the time, you didn't know the podcast. So if you like today's episode, go and check that one out as well. I'll put in the show notes. Okay, people, are we ready? Let's get into the review of half of the year 2024. So let's start with taking stock. And I really like to take stock halfway through the year because there's already a lot that has happened to us in 6 months' time. And sometimes when we get to December, we kind of forget, right? So it's much easier, I find, to do it halfway through the year. And we get an opportunity to really reflect and assess where to from here, and possibly course correcting or changing our mind. And that's completely fine. I think we don't want to wait until just the end of the year when we're really exhausted. Like, we still have some momentum, some energy. So I really encourage you to do this work now, even if you may not be used to it. I think every 6 months is actually a very healthy rhythm to do that. So first question, I always like to start with like the good, happy things. So what were your wins in the first half of this year? What did you achieve? Big or small, especially small or medium. Like, it doesn't have to be those massive projects, but look at the building blocks that you have achieved towards those progress, and look at all areas of your life. And that will make you feel good. So I want you to list them all. I give you some of mine for the last 6 months. I really made progress about my health, learning about my gluten intolerance through a lot of ups and downs and journeys around testing and the likes, but I got there and I'm so much better for it. I also have completed my first level course in astrology. I have finished a creative project that you will soon hear about. I have built new friendships, and really my social life is in a really good place right now with just the people that I want in it. Also, I have a really good weekly routine now. I have been tweaking it in the last couple of years, but this first half of the year, I finally got the right version, and now my weeks are really balanced and I have energy throughout the week. So that's fantastic. I've had also new clients coming on board in the last couple of months. And I have launched the Career Mindset workbook. So if you haven't heard about it, I have done a couple of episodes on career and you can go and check it out. But there is a PDF workbook on my website that you can get that is perfect for you if you're looking at changing role, changing career direction, but you are feeling stuck because you have a lot of maybe doubts and fears and things that hold you back. And that's completely normal. So that's what we work on in coaching one-on-one. But I've given you a workbook so you can get started on your own. So if you're not ready for sessions right now, this is your first step into this career process, and you can find it at careercatchup.com/switch. I also put the link in here. All right, so that was the examples of my win. What about you? What were your wins? And just feel good about it. And then the next question that I want to ask you is, what was fun? I think we forget we're like achievement and goals, but what was fun? What was playful? You know, what were the things where when you were living them, you felt really alive? You had such a great time, maybe time stopped. You know, what were those moments that you wish you could have captured on a camera? So think back to those things. And for me, it's more around the times that I've had with my daughter, the outings that we've had, you know, or maybe things that were a little bit different when we explore something new. You know, all those things. What was fun? What was a bit playful? What was a bit magical? Because we need that in life, okay? So just connect back to the fun. And then maybe if there isn't enough of that, maybe good to set an intention going forward to remember to make time for fun, to make time for pleasure and for things that really light you up outside of, you know, the building blocks and the achievement that you're going to do. What about the things that don't matter as much, but are just fun, that, you know, are light-hearted, that bring you joy? And then we're going to move back to more serious questions. What were the challenges that you faced? Because I know you did, we all do. And I would say a lot of them would be external because this is how life works. It sends us challenges all the time. I'm sure you've noticed. And this is for our greatest good. This is for our growth, even though it doesn't feel like it at the time. But I know you've had your share of challenges. I know you did. So list them all, you know, and they might be to do with other people, and it's okay to be honest about it. So some example I will share with you. So for me, I had challenges around my health, especially around the month of May. I had lots of like minor issues that were quite inconveniencing me that I had to take care of. And some was like more like accidental, but it just happened and I had to bear with that and actually still have an ongoing issue right now. So that's a challenge for me because I feel it's like slowing me down, and sometimes I have to invest time in that when it's not my choice. And also for me, I've had also a time where I have been really alone and nearly borderline isolated because I work a lot from home, and it was my choice with, winter and a lot of, people being sick. So that was a challenge too. And I learned what's healthy for me there. And as I said, now I have built a more buoyant social life to counter that. But I took stock of that and I saw that in my life. So just to share, just in case you think, my life is absolutely perfect, don't worry, I'm like you. I have my own share of challenges. And then the next question I want to ask you is, how can you overcome those challenges in the future? So that's what I did. And when I found out that I was probably spending too much time alone, I asked myself, okay, how do I change that? So those challenges sometimes will only happen as a one-off, but chances are they're coming for a real reason. So you need to learn how to overcome them. Okay. And then the final question in taking stock is, what were your lessons? And in the second part of this episode, I will share 6 of mine. Okay. And when you write this, ask yourself, am I the same person that started the year? If you compare the you now and the you at 1st of January, do you feel different? And what's different about you? What has shifted? Think about all the way down to your identity and the things that you believe to be true and how you feel as a person. Are you exactly in the same place? I would bet that you're not. So that is what you need to capture. What has changed about you? And I think that's just amazing to be able to take stock and reflect on that. Okay, so that was the first part of the question about taking stock. Now we're going to move into more the analysis, if you like, for lack of a better word, reflection, insight. We're going to derive meaning from this. The first question is, where are you at in terms of your progress? So what are the things that you've been trying to achieve this year? Maybe go back to your goals. And where are you at with that? What's your progress? Are things been happening or not quite, or not the way that you thought they would be like? Or they just haven't happened even though you've tried? So let's just look back and track your progress. And then look, are there some things that maybe haven't worked out yet, haven't turned out the way that you thought? And for those things, because I bet there will be a bit of a delta between what you've been trying to get to or what you've been wanting to have and then maybe the reality today. So that delta, what does it come down to? Was it external circumstances? Was it outside of your control? And how much of it was within your control? And maybe I will go all the way to say how much of it was your own doing, especially if it didn't quite happen. Could there be some self-sabotage happening there? Be really honest and real with yourself, because you're going to help yourself for the next 6 months. And otherwise, I'll be asking you again at the end of the year. So you might as well reflect and think about those things now. Okay, let's have this is a tough question, okay? It's a big kind of adult question where you have to take responsibility for your progress this year. If it's linked to other things outside your control, that's different. But, me included, it's often us, okay? And then the next question is, therefore, if you were to reassess now, what will you keep doing? Basically, where to? Where do you want to go next? Are you going to persevere in that direction and then maybe doing something differently because you want a different result if you haven't achieved it? Or maybe you want to just go into a new direction that doesn't feel right anymore, or you don't think that's right for you, or it's not the right time. Maybe it's okay to change your mind. Or maybe it's time to actually completely drop that and let it go. So that's the next stage, right? Once you've taken responsibility, is like, what do you re-decide? What do you decide again now if you have to choose? Do you keep going with that, or do you stop it, or do you change it? And then I'm going to ask you one more question that's going to be a bit pushing you, and that's my job as a coach, is what is not working in your life right now that you wish was different? And maybe it's more than one thing, and that's okay. Ask myself that question every 6 months roughly, because that changes. The answer changes. Or the other way to ask yourself is, are you maybe ignoring some changes that are knocking at the door that you kind of can see need to happen, but because they are hard or because you don't know how to, you are not really tackling them. You're avoiding them a little bit, or you're delaying them. So this is really important things to capture. And then the next set of questions is looking into the future. What will you do differently in the second half of the year? So think about those challenges. Think about the things that you've been trying to bring about. Decide again. And what would you do differently? Also, what is calling you right now? Like, tune in to those very heartfelt desires. There is no special day of the year to do this. You can do this anytime. But chances are you haven't done that in a couple of months, because we just get busy in the everyday. And what do I have on this week? And we just do life because of what needs to happen already. I want you here to tune in and really, like, if I spend an hour to think about myself, what is calling me right now that maybe wasn't calling me in the past? And if anything was possible, how would you like to spend the next 6 months? How would you like to utilize them? What would you like to happen for it to be a really good 6 months? And just remove the barrier of, is it possible? Do I have the money? Do I have the time? Do I have the energy? Let's remove all the how. Because first you need to have clarity. If all of that was possible, if you had the money, if you had the time, if you had the energy, what would be really amazing? What would you just get stuck into right now? And just don't edit that. Just listen to your gut. And that's what your higher self is calling you to do. And then the last question is, if you look ahead, because you probably have already things that are in the diary or that are planned, maybe not, but look ahead. If you look at the outlook of your life, and especially if you don't make any changes, so you kind of go like you have been going in the first half, and then you've got that second half, the same kind on the same track, in the same lane, the same kind of way. And maybe you have a few things that you know are happening. Try to contemplate that and kind of try to visualize and imagine what that would be like to live those 6 months and project yourself, okay? And just kind of time travel with me here and think about, how do you feel living that life over the next 6 months with what's already in there and what may be happening as well? What's the feeling or the feelings? You know, does that feel interesting? Does that feel uplifting? Does that feel energizing? Does it feel exciting? Does it feel hopeful? Or maybe does it just feel like neutral or uncertain? Or does it feel like risk? Does it feel a bit scary? Does it feel boring? Does it feel a bit heavy? Does it feel difficult? Does it feel exhausting? You know, I'm just giving you lots of feelings here, but you answer what's right for you. And then think about that. Is that a feeling that, you know, is this really a good track for you? Because it should feel all those positive things I started the list with. And if it doesn't, then ask yourself, why is that? And what can I change in order to get a different feeling? Because in life, at the end of the day, what we chase up is a feeling. We think we chase up a job, a result, a circumstance, a prize, right? Something. But actually what we really want is the feeling we're going to have when we have that. So if we can feel good even in the process of chasing that, that's the path to happiness in life and in your career. So think about the feelings. And if the feelings don't, as a forecast, let's call it that way, a feeling forecast, if that doesn't look like great weather, then, my friend, you need to make some calls, you need to make some choices, you need to do things differently, you need to start something different and new, because you need to alter your reality so that you can feel much better. And you know what? If you think it's going to turn out a certain way, you're probably right. You know yourself, you know your life. So that's the point of this half-year mark, where you can just go, okay, maybe I just need to go into a different lane. And how do I do that? And what support do I need? And who can help me? Okay, so lots of questions for you. But I just want to invite you to maybe go back to the podcast later if you've paused it or you can't take notes now, and really complete all those questions in your own time. So we have spoken now about all the questions that you should ask yourself, being about taking stock of what happened, looking back the last 6 months, and then reflecting on what does that mean and how do I want to go from here. And as I was actually editing the podcast, I got to this point and I was like, you know what? I had recorded all the lessons to come after that, but I just felt like that was going to be too much. I felt like this is the right time to actually stop this episode and let you do that. Let's do the journaling, the questioning that I have just spent time going through with you. And because I think it's going to be too much if we go into the lesson on top of it. Look at me go, right? Maybe finally I'm going to manage to record something shorter. So I'm going to pause here for this week, and I will post the second part to this with my 6 lessons in the last 6 months next week. So you have them quite close, but I really want you to focus on asking yourself those questions. And actually, since I recorded this podcast like yesterday and I'm editing it now, another question came to mind. So you're getting a bonus one right now, just before I let you go. And the question is, did anything happen that was completely unexpected? You know, like I love asking myself that. What came out of the blue? What surprised me? Or what really didn't turn out as expected? Because that is pretty much sure there is one thing at least in your life somewhere. And I just love looking at that, because that's in those instances that I realize that life is just not linear, that we can't control life. And also ask yourself, like, well, what happened after that? Did that turn out to be a blessing in disguise? Or did I learn something new? Did that open the door onto something else? But just really go and look at maybe those redirection or those apparently closed door that happen, because this is when we see that life also has its own way and its own magic. And really, it's worth asking yourself that question. So there you go. You have lots of questions to ponder over the next week. As usual, I'm here. If you want to share your review, you know, this could be a perfect thing to do in life coaching. I have, for instance, some clients that are booking with me a quarterly session. So you can go on my website. There is a package for 4 sessions and you can pay on payment plans. So you spread it out and you can catch up with me every 3 months of the year, and we can do that together, and I can help you, guide you to take stock so we really get clear on what the key pain points or the key areas for development are right now, and then you are set on a new direction for the next 3 months. So that could be really cool, and that could be really, really beneficial for you right now. So I'll put the link in the show notes as well. It's at careercatchup.com/life coaching. All right, my friend, I'm going to leave you to your half-year review. I'm still working through mine, and next week I'll be sharing my 6th lesson in the last 6 months. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to wish you a beautiful rest of the week and weekend ahead. I will speak with you next week. Bye, everyone. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to find out more information, you can visit my website at careercatchup.com. There you will find blog articles, free resources, a self-study course for your career direction, and ways to work with me. It's at careercatchup.com. I hope to continue to connect with you and support you. Talk to you soon.